Pregame.com.
Welcome back to Pregame.tv. Preakness. We're going to take a look at a couple long shots here that maybe can make some noise at a big price. Dave, what's your long shot you like in this one that could make some noise on Saturday?
The one I like is Governor Charlie. Bob Baffert horse, lightly raced horse. So we don't know quite the upside. Went through the Sunland Derby, New Mexico. Now this is a horse, when I get the advanced PPs from Daily Racing Form, like a week before the Derby, they have, I think it was like 30 or 35 horses that were still maybe under consideration to run the Derby, and this was going to be my long shot in the Derby. I mean, I really liked the speed he had shown, the improvement, and you got Baffert, so you figured he was going to be handled well. Baffert ended up not having a horse in the Derby, and so I was really surprised when he scratched Governor Charlie, and in a little way, kind of impressed. That a lot of times that the trainers so much of his identity is tied into the Derby. So I really expected him to want to have a Derby horse, and for him to not do that, I think really showed he was doing the right thing by the horse and pointing him for this. And again, he's a speed horse, so the one problem I have is he could jeopardize the chances of my top choice, Golden Sense. Mm-hmm. But I do think that it won't be suicidal fractions. I think these two will be up front. So if he's 12-1 in the morning line, I'm expecting he's going to go higher. I think there's going to be just a lot of money on Orb to drive everyone's prices up.
Absolutely.
So I think I definitely have win money on him, and I'll probably be wheeling him with Golden Sense in tries, like first and second with all, first and third with all in the second slot. Again, in case that these two just lead them all the way around.
Well, you make a great point, the fact that they didn't try to go to the Derby with this horse. And he put his ego aside, which, like you said, so many trainers, that's kind of hard to do. You want to be a part of the Derby, especially when you've been a fixture the way he has every year. And you consider the fact that at one point on the Derby trail, Bob Baffert had 9 horses that were legitimate contenders for the Kentucky Derby, and then he ended up with none. So, I like the fact of what you said there. What I don't like on this horse, the only thing the knock is, and it's also could be his biggest upside, is this horse, he's only got 3 lifetime starts. And the Sunland Derby, I thought was a very, very soft field, so I'm not taking as much out of that race. He did what he was supposed to do. You can't fault a horse for winning, but, who did he beat? That's my question. So he's going to have to make a big, big jump today, but we've seen it before. These horses, from starts, 4 to 6, that's the biggest time that they can make those jumps. The horse I'm looking at for my long shot that could make some noise is Will Take Charge. Now, this is a horse that raced in a Derby, went 36-1, went off, wasn't really a factor at the betting window. Was making a move. It was a horse that was, sitting off the pace, sitting 10th, started to make a move, and the horse had to get checked. He ran into all of those front runners that, were chasing that suicidal pace and were starting to come back to the field, and it kind of broke his momentum. Now, does that mean that he would have had enough to be a factor in this race? I'm not saying that, we don't know, but it definitely hurt his chances in that race. He is one of the Derby horses coming back. We talked about, the Derby horses, generally come back and race good in the Preakness. I do like the jockey change, going to Mike Smith in this horse. Now, with that said, it was Mike Smith that was on Palace Malice that I don't know what he was thinking with the fractions he was setting in that race. If it would have been if this would have been the Belmont and Orb was going for the Triple Crown and Mike Smith was on a stablemate of Orb, I would have said he was the rabbit, But other than that, I don't know what he was thinking. He's too good of a jockey to let a horse go the fractions that he was going in the Derby. But I think he gets a better ride here, and this horse could, on the bottom end of a ticket, it should be a big price.
Right. You definitely get the price. Yeah, I'm not as high on him. Another one I would throw out there would be Oxbow, the number 6 horse. I think I'll definitely be using that with some of my other closing horses, including Orb. Again, if I am wrong and the pace does fall apart.
The one thing that I will say with Oxbow, and it's a good point. One, I love Gary Stevens, who since he's come back from retirement, the guy's been doing well. But he is the only horse that was close to the pace that still he finished 6th. Right. All the other ones that were close to the pace were still looking for him. They had to send out search crews. So a little better trip, better fractions this horse, and the shorter distance. This horse could be there. So I think definitely he's a good long shot to take consideration. All right, that's it. We put all the long shots together. We've talked about the individual horses. Now we're going to come back in a video, put it all together for you. The Preakness, the best bets, what you can look for on Saturday. That's up next on pregame.tv.